Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cab and today I'm here to talk about an author and her book that you need to read if you have not read her books, and that author is Elizabeth Acevedo, and her 4 books are out in the market, I guess, but I have read only 2, and when I was reading the third one my subscription of audiobook ended, and I was just stuck in the middle of the book, and I'm still there to finish my book. And this is the author that I discovered during the lockdown, because there was a lot of people reading her book, praising her, and I just decided to give it a chance because I have not read any of her books before. So I decided to just start a new author, and so I decided to read her books. And the best thing about her books are that they are all written in verse form, and if you don't know about verse, this is a form of like poetry. You read poetry that are small lines are there, so this is written in that format, which make it quite easy to read and finish in one go. So I decided to read her books, and I just loved that, and I can say that she is one of my favorite author of all time because she writes brilliant stories. The first book that I read of this author is The Poet X, because I was following a book community and every single person was reading her books and was just talking about it. So I decided why should not I read it, and then I just started reading it, and it was a fantastic book. And this book follows this young girl Xiomara Batista, who live in a neighborhood where she feels like she is not being heard and her voice is not heard by the people around her. So she also just going through a body change, because obviously she is a teenage girl and she is growing and her body is changing into curves, which just caused her attention that she did not want, and the comments that followed it. And so that's why these were the problems that she was facing while growing up in the neighborhood, which is not that good for her. And then she just discovered slam poetry, where she feel like this is the only way she can make her voice heard, and she just pour out all her frustrations and anger and her feelings in this slam poetry. Then once when her school come up with this poetry challenge, she just grabbed the opportunity with both hands, because this is the only way she can make her voice heard in the community and in the world. So she just start writing about the poetries and all her feelings and her life situations. So this was a great story that I read, because this was fantastic, and especially the character of Xiomara is so passionate, strong and lovely. I just really loved her character, and especially the character that follows their relationship with brother and sister, and her brother is twin. They had a great chemistry together, and that it make it more special, because whenever she goes through a low phase or she is not doing well, her brother is always by her side, and that's the best thing that I find in this book. Though everything is beautiful and great in this book especially. So this is the great book that you absolutely need to read if you have not read it. This book also deals with a lot of social issues like bullying, sexual harassment. This book just narrates it perfectly. And the best thing about Elizabeth Acevedo's books are that the audiobook, because the audiobooks are especially narrated by the author herself. And when I think that when a narrator is the author of that book, they just deal it very beautifully, and they just know how to express the feelings and the anger that are written in the words that you can't maybe express or feel, but the audiobook make you realize what was going at that point of time with the person that are in the main character. So I think the best way to read books is the audio format too, while it was narrated by the author itself. And the next book that I read is Clap When You Land by the same author, and this is again written in the verse format, and it is so beautiful. And this follows these 2 girls. One is Camino Rios, who lives in Dominican Republic, and other is Yahara Rios, who lives in New York City, and they just live a separate lives, but they are all together, just connected to each other. So one day when Camino was just waiting for her father to come home, and she went to airport to receive her father, she met with a lot of crying people. Meanwhile, when Yahaira was in school and she was taken to the principal office to let her know that her father had died in a plane crash. So this girls are the daughter of same father, but they are just unaware of each other's existence and their life. They always wanted to have a brother or sister or any family member that they can talk and share their thoughts with them, but they never knew that there already exists a person who is related to them by blood and by relations. So this book just deal with a great story plot, and this is there is a lot of issues that deal with like familial secrets, grief, father-daughter relationship, sister-sister relationship. So this is basically a great book to read. This book describes the emotions very well, and especially when it was about sister-sister relations. So that is a great story to read if you have not read. And this book was narrated by two authors. The first one's character was narrated by Elizabeth Eswado, while the second one's character was narrated by, I can't recall that name, but it was narrated by some other person. So this is a duo narration book, and this is a beautiful, because when you will listen, you will just feel their grief, their anger, their just emotions that they are going through and the problems they are facing. So this is again a fantastic book by the same author, and I just loved it. And I can say that yes, she is a fantastic author of young adults, because she have written young adults so far, and that's why I just really loved her writing styles and her story, because she just write perfect stories. And the third book by this author that I was reading but I could not complete was With the Fire on High, and this is again deals with young adult situations and a teenage girl who is just a mother also. There is something like that that I have not finished yet, so I don't want to talk about it much. So this was a great story again. So you need to read if you have not read these books. So this was an author that I wanted to talk about, and the books she had written, because I find this author really genuine and sweet personality. And the best thing that happened this year is that I discovered this author, because she is such a great personality for me, especially because I find her stories and her character and her personal being very interesting. So I just loved her, and I just can say that yes, she is one of my favorite author of all time, and I'm just going to read whatever book she will come with, because she has just stole my heart with her stories. So that was a great thing for me that happened this year. So that's it guys, that's what I had to talk about, and I hope you will like it. So thank you for watching guys, bye.